for joining us. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I am Tanika Harris, the Director of Communication and Community Relations for the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh. I'm so excited to be here. We have an amazing board meeting today. I can't wait to share some exciting projects that are happening. Wanting to begin this meeting, today is August 10th, 2023. Chairman Chintalapalli, you have a quorum, and I'm going to pass the meeting over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Harris. Welcome everyone to our August board meeting. Our first order of business is roll call for those board members present. We presently do have Councilman Lavelle, Director Powell, Director Williamson, with Representative Murato absent for the moment. With that said, our first order of business will be approval of the July 13th, 2023 URA board meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? And the motion carries. I do also want to note that the board met an executive session on August 4th for briefing. The briefing was for informational purposes only. Our next order of business will be public comment. Joining us for that to sort of run that will be Daniel Grantham. Daniel, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. We have 5 public comments today. And I'll start with the first one, which was submitted in writing by Kim Montgomery. Ms. Montgomery said, I want to say thanks. I want to say that I think the LRTA money should be given out now. The advisory board has held on to it long enough, and I don't think one organization should charge of it. There should be multiple organizations. And we want the funds to be released because there are a lot of homeowners who have things that need to be done with their homes. It was promised to the community, and it is now time for the community to have it. I would like to know how the community will be notified when the applications for when the application is available, I'm sorry, and how we can apply, because I know a lot of people who are interested. And that comment relates to an item on our agenda 6D, the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund, and an allotment of funds to support a temporary Hill District home ownership or a home repair. Our next public comment is a live one, and it comes from Aaron Skunik. I apologize if I didn't get that name correctly. Aaron, you have the floor, and your time, you'll have 3 minutes to give public comment. I'll let you know when you have about 10 seconds or about 30 seconds left. And your time starts whenever you're ready. You there, Aaron?
Oh,
May have. Oh, is that you? Okay. We'll come back.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay, sorry about that. Anyhow, yep, sorry, my name is Aaron Suknick. I'm the VP of District Development at the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership. Just want to, share support for the conversion program guidelines change. Despite our healthy 91% occupancy rate here downtown for residential, this is a challenging time with construction costs and interest rates for both affordable and market rate projects. But this conversion program is an important tool to not only support affordable housing, but really also the downtown tax base, which, as you all know, contributes a significant percentage of the total property tax revenue that the city collects. So Since the conversion program was launched, we at the PDP have really appreciated being in close touch with URA staff to monitor interest in the program. But as you noted in the director's report, interest in applicants have not been what we had hoped for. So we really appreciate your interest and openness in making the guidelines changes as needed for this program to be as effective as it can be. So we very much support your action to amend the guidelines today as proposed. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next public comment comes from Randall Taylor. Randall, you have the floor and you'll have it for 3 minutes. I'll let you know when we've got about 30 seconds left.
Appreciate it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, that's great. I want to speak to the Authority Board about supporting the $465,000 allocation from the Greater Hill District Fund for home preservation. I think one of the things that I've learned in my journey through the housing justice movement is the best thing is prevention, whether that's preventing someone to be evicted or preventing someone from leaving their homes. So as we talk about home ownership, let's keep in mind, let's preserve the people who are already in their homes. And I've known many people who have had to walk away from homes, and those are not always elderly people. Sometimes those are working people who simply do not have the wherewithal or the credit to afford tens of thousands of dollars worth of home repairs. And as we work on the Hill, that's why our motto is 3 issues of housing, housing, and more housing, because we need people to participate and patronize our businesses. A lot of us believe the Shop and Save failed strictly because we did not have the amount of residents in the community to support that. And so we don't want the same thing to happen with Salim's as well. And so I want to congratulate the Greater Hill District Fund members who did support this very important initiative. And I also want to commend the Hill District organizations that are learning every day the benefits of cooperation and communication and trust. And we're very soon to learn the great benefits of reciprocity. So I think this is a potentially historic moment for the Hill. I know the Hill District Consensus Group stands ready to put out the word and to assist homeowners, particularly our seniors, with ever paperwork or informational support that they need. And we hope that this is just the beginning of reinvestment into our current homeowners as we begin that long journey to build thousands of new units as we work to bring back the historic Hill District as an asset to this city, this region, and this country. So I want to thank everybody for this time.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Our next public comment comes from Raymond Moore. Mr. Moore, you have the floor and we'll have it for 3 minutes. I'll let you know when you have about 30 seconds left. And your time will begin whenever you're ready to go.
Thank you actually for allowing me to actually make a public comment. My name is Raymond Moore with the Fair Housing Partnership of Greater Pittsburgh. I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator. I'm addressing both 4A and 6D. FHP commends the HUD Choice Neighborhoods Award to the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh. We ask that a robust fair housing lens is instituted for the resulting home development or housing developments, notably in response to our city's racial segregation, including within our lower income housing. We ask that the criteria used for tenant applications be the same as used by HACP, particularly regarding credit, criminal, and eviction hearings, as well as the grievance hearing process. Additionally, in response to our city's inaccessible housing stock for people with disabilities, we ask that the development prioritize units that are inherently accessible and severely limit unit types that are intrinsically accessible, such as townhouses and multifamily dwelling buildings without elevators. Families have disabled members too, including children. And in response to 6D, to the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund, FHP applauds the infrastructure investment into existing homes within the Hill District neighborhoods. Regarding applications that include disability accessibility modifications to homes, we ask that the URA staff involved meet with FHP and the City of Pittsburgh's Department of Permits and Leasing inspections regarding a reasonable accommodation process for residential permits related to home modifications for disability accessibility. We are available to talk further. I and FHP thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We still have a couple more folks, Daniel.
Yes,
Okay.
our last registered public comment comes from Dr. Kimberly Ellis. Sure, I given Dr. Ellis permission to speak. Dr. Ellis, will have 3 minutes and your time begins whenever you're ready to.
Okay, thank you so much. I did submit my comments in written form as well. I just wanted to make sure that, one, everybody knows that I'm a lifelong Historic Hill resident, and two, that I am a voting member of the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund. And I'm the one that put forth the motion to ensure that the total of the development initiatives allocation of $465,000 go to home repair. The reason why I voted in this way and encouraged my colleagues to vote in this way is that it had been 2 years since the LRTA funds were deposited by the Lower Hill redevelopment in September of 2021. As you all know, we're now in August of 2023. And I quite frankly found it unconscionable not to spend the entire amount on home repairs, because up to $20,000 means that we'll generally be able to service roughly 23 to 25 people, more or less. And that's a good amount. And we're gonna hope for more and make some other decisions as well. I also want to just remind the Hill residents, who I'm very proud of, and the public, that, we've been watching downtown Pittsburgh, and I have seen grocery stores open and close in downtown Pittsburgh. I've seen historic George Aiken close. I've seen, heartbreaking slides of, remember downtown when, and remember this and remember that. And so not everything is promised. The future is not always promised. And just because you want to create a certain environment and you focus on commercial development, you have to make sure that you focus on the housing and the people so that they can patronize your commercial development. And so I want to emphasize to everyone that that is why I made the decision that I made. Now, in addition to that, we do have the authority to authorize and allocate more funding for development initiatives, and we can certainly do that. And I want for the people who have never received any funding for their developments or have received low amounts of funding to know that we have not forgotten you. We are going to make those decisions, and we are going to look out for you in our very next meeting. Lastly, I just want, on a personal note, that up to $20,000 is it may seem like not a lot of money, but it is. I watched my mother and participated in the very, very slow redevelopment and repair of my own home. And it took a very long time. And I would have loved to have been given a grant like this when I was a child. I would have loved to have seen her been able to take advantage of it. So I thank the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund and the URA for working as administrators on this project to deliver the $465,000. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. Chairman, that concludes public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Now, moving into our regular agenda, first is a set of announcements. For our first announcement, I'm going to turn it over to Director Namani Stanger.
Thank you, Chairman. Today, I'm pleased to share that the Hill District neighborhood has received $50 million in the form of a Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This Bedford Choice Award is the result of a significant partnership between the Housing Authority, the URA, the city, Trek Development, County Human Services, and the Hill District residents. This funding will go toward rebuilding the oldest public housing structures in Pittsburgh, Bedford dwellings. The URA will lead the neighborhood commercial corridor enhancements for this grant, mainly along Center and Heron Avenues. Additionally, we plan to work with partners to rehab existing homes for both new and current homeowners. The URA would like to congratulate the 5 RCOs on the Hill and the residents on securing this significant award. This grant truly is the result of a community effort. I also wanted to convey deep appreciation to my colleagues and the partners who worked on this grant application, with a particular shout out to Brandon Wilson, project manager in our development department. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. This has been years in the making, so it's exciting to get to this point. A lot of work before all of us, but it's exciting. So happy to see it. I know other board members have been involved, and Councilman, obviously this is near and dear to your heart. So if other folks have any comment before we move on to the further announcements.
I think between what was said last week and today, everything has been said that needs to be said.
That's right. Sorry, we're getting a question about this one. About the 411 units of public housing. The plan to the question does involve 1-for-1 replacement of each of the public housing units. The remaining, 400 plus are split, I believe, roughly evenly between tax credit affordable units and then unrestricted or market rate units. So I think that gets to the crux of what you're asking, Swain, but thank you for our next announcement is an update on the Greater Pittsburgh Coliseum. I will provide this one myself. So on July 6th, 2023, the URA received an exciting unsolicited proposal from Lisa Pollock, Herky Pollock, and Billy Porter, with the goal of transforming the Greater Pittsburgh Coliseum into a community facility. Albeit extremely early in the pre-planning process, we believed it was incredibly important to gather some of Homewood's key leaders who represented Homewood's RCO, the Homewood Collaborative, faith-based institutions, educational institutions, and social service agencies, including medical providers and youth engagement organizations. This was an intergenerational meeting in which the mayor's office and URA presented the preliminary concept of the vision for the Greater Pittsburgh Coliseum that was laid out in the proposal. The following day, we received word that Rachel Ray was a confirmed member of the development team as well. The proposal consists of an arts education component, restoring the roller rink, a culinary arts component, and workforce development and job training in the television and film related professions. A community facility like this, one that would be able to provide community gathering space, entertainment, and employment opportunities, is in line with what we learned Homewood wanted to see for the future of the Coliseum. To ensure that this project remains aligned with the community's goals, the URA is interested in having the development team engage with the community in the coming months, further refine their proposal, and begin conversations with potential partner agencies. It's important to note the development team is supportive of this approach. After the community dialogue, the URA will then entertain beginning the acquisition process. This will include at least 3 rounds of board approval that incorporates active community engagement and participation throughout the entire process. I would like to read a quote from Mr. Porter that explains his rationale for this development. Quote, "Performing arts was my lifeline, my safety net, and my way out. It gave me a sense of purpose and humanity, as well as tools for critical thinking and examining my own life and exposure to an entirely new world. It truly saved my life and enabled me to rise above my circumstances and to excel beyond my wildest dreams. The importance of this hugely transformative project cannot be overstated. For youth in crisis, an opportunity to succeed in life, to add vitality to a struggling community, to activate a site that is a daily reminder of how underprivileged and overlooked communities have been neglected, and to provide a path and lifeline for a way out of harm's way, all will be trademarks of this development." End quote. I do also want to acknowledge the reports of Mr. Porter transparently sharing the sale of his home due to the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike. Speaking now as a representative of the Gainey administration, the city of Pittsburgh has long been a supporter of workers' rights to organize. and we are proud to stand in solidarity with Mr. Porter as he does what he feels is in the best interest of his current and future financial investments. At this time, we, the City of Pittsburgh and URA, have no concerns regarding the proposal for the Greater Pittsburgh Coliseum from Mr. Porter and his team. Thank you. Our next announcement is an update on the Neighborhood Initiatives Fund and our Avenues of Hope American Rescue Plan Act grant program. Joining us for this will be Josette Fitzgibbons.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Josette Fitzgibbons. I'm the manager of Business District Services at the URA. And this is just a very quick update. My staff has been very busy the last couple of weeks with applications for the Neighborhood Initiatives Fund and the second round of our Avenues of Hope American Rescue Plan Act grant program. We received 32 applications for the NIF, Neighborhood Initiatives Fund program from 25 different neighborhoods throughout the city. The total funds requested was 2.4 million. We have about 1.1 million to grant. So over the next few weeks, we'll be doing some reviewing and coming back in September with a recommended list of awardees. With the Avenues of Hope ARPA grant program, we received 39 applications across our 7 Avenues of Hope corridors. Total funds requested was about 5 million. We will also be looking at those over the next few weeks and come back with our second group of recommended awardees at the September board meeting. A reminder that the next round of applications for the ARPA grants are due September 30th, but also a note, it looks like a couple of our corridors may be closed out this term. We've had so many applications from Center Avenue and 1 or 2 others that we may be closing the applications for those rounds because we may have used up the allocation that we have. So thank you, and look forward to presenting our awardees at the September board meeting.
Great, thank you, Josette. Our next announcement is the 2022 Housing Opportunity Fund annual report. Joining us for this will be Chad Burns.
Thank you, Kyle. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chad Burns. I'm with the Urban Redevelopment Authority. I'm here today to announce that we have completed the 2022 Housing Opportunity Fund annual report, and it has been approved by the city and uploaded to our website. Some of the highlights within this report include program outcomes and expenditures by AMI level and city council district. We also have numerous spotlights throughout the report that include an individual that received the homeowner assistance program, an individual that received the down payment and closing cost assistance program in tandem with the OMPGH pilot, Gladstone residences that went through the rental gap program, and the Fraser North residences that went through the for sale development program. There's also a segment in the report that discusses how the programs have been adapted over the last year to better serve our communities. If you're interested in checking this out, you can go to our website with the URL that's shown on the screen. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at hof@ura.org. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chad. It's always impressive and encouraging to see these numbers in aggregate, when we don't get the chance or we just see one deal at a time, but to see the number of homeowners, the number of households who bought their first home, that number that we've helped to prevent eviction and stabilize close to 1,100 households is just staggering, and 402 units of affordable housing that's been preserved or produced. That's just encouraging to see, and I thank the whole team for all the work that you do every day moving this forward, and the advisory board for providing the leadership that they do in the community outreach. So thank you all. The next announcement is an update on the Child Care Lending and Technical Assistance Program, and Catherine Murray is going to be joining us for this.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Catherine Murray, and I serve as the Director of Commercial Lending at the URA and the Program Director at Invest Pittsburgh, our affiliate community development financial institution. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to highlight our efforts to support childcare businesses and nonprofits in the city. 2 years ago, we launched a financing tool and technical assistance programs specifically for the childcare industry. Funding for these efforts is supported by PNC. Invest Pittsburgh houses our childcare reinvestment in business, otherwise known as CRIB program. This is a forgivable loan of up to $20,000 for childcare providers in the city. The primary use of these funds is for working capital and minor facility improvements. Since launching the program in the summer of 2021, we've assisted 27 businesses and deployed over $740,000 to childcare providers, the bulk of whom are minority and women business owners. This capital is making a difference. We capture data 1 year after loan closing. I'm happy to report that to date, 100% of our CRIB borrowers are still in business. 75% of our CRIB borrowers have increased their enrollment. 65% of our CRIB borrowers have hired additional staff. I'm very proud to report that 5 of our CRIB borrowers have increased their Pennsylvania star rating since receiving CRIB funds. This increase in quality of care allows businesses to grow and receive a higher subsidy rate from the state per child. 1 year after loan closing, borrowers can apply for loan forgiveness and then are eligible for a second award. 10 of our 27 businesses have applied for and received a second award. Pictured on this slide is one of our CRIB borrowers located in Garfield, Each One Teach One, run by Dr. Dominique Thornhill. To complement the CRIB program, the URA launched an industry-specific training program called The Business of Childcare. We partnered with Brittany Wright, an experienced childcare business owner, to develop the course curriculum. Brittany and her team at Wright Childcare Solutions thoughtfully designed a course that prepares entrepreneurs to launch new childcare businesses in the city. This course is delivered by the talented staff at Chatham University's Center for Women Entrepreneurship. Over the past 2 years, 85 current and budding business owners have completed this course, the bulk of whom are minority women. Throughout the course, we assist participants in developing business plans and inform them about the CRIB program and other low-interest financing available at the URA that can help them launch their business. Additionally, we've partnered with Trying Together to pilot a shared services alliance in which childcare providers can access services at a lower rate for marketing, legal, and financial resources. In closing, I want to thank our partners and the commercial lending and community investments team at the URA for their dedication. We will continue our commitment to the childcare industry in Pittsburgh. If you know of any business interested in financing or technical assistance, please encourage them to contact us. I'll put a link in the chat now. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Catherine. That was incredibly comprehensive. I had some questions that were coming to mind, and at least for me, I won't speak for my fellow board members. You covered them all. This is
great.
Incredibly impressive and important work. So thank you to you and the team and everyone who's done this. It sounds like, you know, we're providing the support we need in addition to just the funding. You know, hearing about the star ratings increases is great, and knowing what the childcare industry has been up against really in the wake of the pandemic and the importance of it as we talk about folks returning to work. You know, the timing of this program and seeing the impact now is you know, couldn't be better. So yeah, this is phenomenal. I know some council members had interest in this several years ago. Councilman Lavelle, I'm presuming that's probably still the same. So if we've not submitted, you know, some sort of update or provided the opportunity for them, I think it would be great to do that so that they can see, you know, the impact that this is having, and you know, how you all have been incredibly thoughtful in the approach here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Our last announcement for today is the 2023 Q2 Impact Report. Joining us for this will be John Bonnell. John, we can't hear you.
Classic unmute situation. Good
There we go.
afternoon. My name is John Manello, and I'm a data and evaluation specialist in the URA Strategic Data and Impact Unit. On your screen are some highlights from the Q2 2023 URA Impact Report that I'd like to share with you. 50 businesses connected to technical assistance through URA and its affiliates. 505 individuals were able to stay in their homes through either housing crisis prevention programs or housing-related legal assistance provided by the Housing Opportunity Fund. 36 individuals were assisted in achieving home ownership through the HOF down payment and closing cost assistance program. 261 units of affordable housing were created or preserved with assistance through our residential and consumer lending programs. 32 small business loans were closed between URA and its affiliates worth over $2.65 million. Roughly $324,871 were dispersed to businesses maintaining vacant lots and to support neighborhood projects. The full report is now live on the impact page of the website and shows more of the great work that was done by the URA in Q2. We encourage anyone who's interested in taking a closer look at some of these metrics to go to the impact section of the website listed under the About Us heading. Thank you.
Thanks, John. The unmute situation happens to one person every meeting, so thank you for being our sacrificial lamb on that one. I mean, as I said before, for HOF, it's always impressive to see these numbers in aggregate. So I thank you to you, you know, and your colleagues and the data team who pull this together to show it every month. It's just incredibly impressive, and I think illustrates the gaps in the market that we fill. And I would say, as Councilman Lavelle often does, the market opportunities for others to either provide us with additional capital or enter the space and help to support some of these you know, efforts and endeavors that we do every day. So thank you for providing that for us today. Moving into our full or action agenda. Our first item will be in Garfield, 112 North Eveline Street. Joining us for this will be Niklas Persson.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Niklas Persson. I'm a lending analyst working in the residential lending department of the URA. And today I am requesting authorization to enter into a for-sale development program grant in an amount of up to $100,000 with City of Bridges Community Land Trust for the renovation of 112 North Eveline Street. This is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhouse located in the Garfield neighborhood of Pittsburgh, just 1 block away from the Penn Avenue commercial corridor. The previous owner of the house had approached City of Bridges offering to sell the property with the condition that the new owner maintains its affordability. As a community land trust, City of Bridges has a proven track record of both preserving and building new affordable housing. In the last 5 years, they have completed over 10 renovation projects similar in size to that of 112 North Eveline. City of Bridges maintains their affordability by offering affordable mortgages on these properties to low and moderate income homebuyers. In the case of 112 North Eveline, City of Bridges intends to sell the house at a sales price of $195,000 to a home buyer whose income is less than or equal to 80% of area median income. But before City of Bridges sells this property to a potential home buyer, they will first make needed renovations to the house, including but not limited to a new roof, furnace, bath, carpeting, and AC system. The total development cost is estimated to be roughly $308,425. Sources of funding for these renovations include a line of credit from PNC Bank, as well as a grant awarded by the Hillman Foundation. These sources combined amount to $208,425. To cover the remainder of these costs, City of Bridges has approached the URA requesting a $100,000 FSDP grant to cover the soft cost of acquisition and renovations. This grant would be funded with Community Development Block Grant 2020 dollars, and its terms would include a record of a deed restriction securing long-term affordability over a period of 99 years. City of Bridges intends to close on the home within 30 days of receiving the FSDP grant, and construction would commence shortly after closing and take approximately 10 weeks. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you all very much for listening. I would now like to introduce Julie Nigro, Senior Real Estate Project Manager of City of Bridges, to say a few brief remarks regarding the proposed project.
Nicholas, before Julie speaks, since the next item is with City of Bridges as well, do we want to take 5A and B together? We can do the.
Oh, yeah, of
presentation
course.
For that. Yeah, and then we can have Julie speak to it. Sorry, Julie.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah, so moving on to the next project, which is entitled Find View and Perry South Rehab for Home Ownership. This one is also very similar to that of 112 North Evelyn Street. In this case, City of Bridges Community Land Trust is requesting construction grant financing in the amount of $400,000 to finance the soft cost for the acquisition and renovation of 4 for-sale units included in the overarching Find View Perry Hilltop Rehab for Home Ownership project. Of the proposed $400,000 grant, $200,000 will be sourced from 2022 Housing Opportunity Fund funds, which was approved by the HOF Advisory Board during their August meeting. The remainder of the grant will be sourced with 2020 Community Development Block Grant funds. The 4 units in the project are located in areas of priority as identified in the Find View Perry Hilltop Community Plan, as completed by the Find View Citizens Council and the Perry Hilltop Citizens Council. 2 of the units, 121 Hawkins Avenue and 240 Kennedy Avenue, are each slated for a sales price of $185,000. The other 2, 311 Elson Street and 1929 Mountford Avenue, will have a sales price of $165,000 and $150,000 respectively. All units will be sold to households at or below 80% AMI, and renovations are anticipated to be completed by June 2024. Per FSDP guidelines, the units will also have a 99-year affordability restriction. And in addition to this, City of Bridges will maintain its own 99-year ground lease and affordability period on the property, ensuring a permanent affordable home ownership opportunity for future homeowners. This project will also utilize a construction loan from First Commonwealth Bank, a PNC line of credit, a Hillman Foundation grant, and a Federal Home Loan Bank Affordable Housing Program grant. Together, these sources will be used to cover a total development cost of roughly $1.68 million for all 4 houses combined. So once again, this is for the authorization to enter into a for-sale development program grant agreement in the amount of up to $400,000 with City of Bridges Community Land Trust for the renovation of these 4 for-sale units in Find View and Perry South. And that is my presentation. Thank you all for listening. I invite Julie Nigro of City of Bridges to provide a few brief remarks regarding both of these projects.
Thank you, Nicholas, and thank you for the opportunity to present these 2 projects and for your consideration. I also have Ed Nusser, City of Bridges Executive Director, here to answer any questions anybody might have. But Nicholas, thanks. You did a great job going over those. I think you covered all of my talking points. So if anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Thanks, Julie, and thank you, Nicholas. Any questions or comments from board members? I'd just say, thank you all for your work, on both projects here. It's exciting to see these move forward and continue to see, kind of the stock of permanently affordable, for sale homes grow throughout the city. So bringing 5 more online for, total of $500,000 grants seems like wise investment for us at the authority. So appreciate that. So if there's no other questions or comments, entertain a motion for both authorizations before us under items 5A and 5B.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? And the motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is in downtown, the Pittsburgh Downtown Conversion Program. Joining us for this will be Director Evan Miller.
Thanks. Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon. My name's Evan Miller, and I'm the Director of Housing here at the URA. And today I'd like to discuss several proposed changes to the Downtown Conversion Program. The pilot program that we're discussing here was launched in January of this year, and it's intended to create new affordable housing through the conversion of vacant and underutilized office space. And the program's using American Rescue Plan Act funds that are provided from both the city of Pittsburgh as well as the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and some various other sources that are held internally here at the URA. And the program provides soft subordinate financing to projects that are undertaking commercial to residential conversions that will result in at least 20% of the housing units being rented affordably to households at or below 80% of the area median income, with an emphasis on units being affordable to households at or below 50% of the area median income, and a strong preference for projects that will accept housing choice voucher holders. So interest in the program has been high. However, admittedly, it's been difficult for projects to actually come to fruition, given the considerable costs that are involved in this type of conversion. So to account for this, we're recommending a few adjustments to the guidelines. And these proposed amendments include increasing the available per unit subsidy and reworking the calculation for the per project maximum available through the program. Projects originally were eligible for $60,000 to $100,000 of funding per affordable unit, depending on the level of affordability. And the proposed increase will now offer up to $100,000 per affordable unit at 80% AMI, $150,000 per unit affordable to households up to 60% AMI, and then up to $200,000 per unit for every unit affordable to households at or below 50% AMI. The proposed shift in the maximum per project calculation is going to remove a dollar-based cap and instead will be based only on the percentage of total project costs. So the maximum allowable downtown conversion program subsidy as a percentage of the total project cost will range from 30% of the total costs for projects that serve 80% of the area median income, ranging up to 40% of the total cost for projects that serve 50% of the area median income and below. So this change is going to allow for larger scale projects to access the program, while also ensuring that the conversion program funds don't represent a disproportionate amount of the project's capital stack. So we think that these changes are going to help to emphasize affordability. It's going to affirm the URA's commitment to downtown as a neighborhood. It's going to leverage other sources outside of the URA and accelerate the pipeline of potential conversions that are going to take place here downtown. So thank you all for consideration, and I'll open it up to the board for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Director. Any questions or comments from board members? Director Williamson.
Not a question, more just a comment. I just really wanted to thank the URA staff for working on this and being so creative and critical when you're thinking around these issues. I think this is as Evan said, sorry, I'm recovering from COVID, so my voice is a little bit bad. But as Evan said, this is a pilot project, and and sort of thinking about it, looking at what's working and what doesn't working is inherently part of the process when you adopt a pilot project. So I just really want to thank Evan and your team and the entire URA staff for really digging in and helping us hopefully get this right, because this is a critical program to ensure the sort of return of downtown as a vibrant and viable, and thriving neighborhood.
Agreed. Yeah, I think you said it well, Director Williamson. Thank you to the staff, for your work on this. Appreciate, and I think it's another example of you all learning stuff in the field and from the marketplace and hearing from the folks who are on the front lines, as it were, and refining what we've put out there in order to improve it and make it better, and hopefully have that impact that Director Williamson just noted. So if there are no other questions or comments from board members, I will entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, the motion carries. Thanks, Director.
Thank you.
Moving into development services, our first item on the agenda is the downtown tax abatement program. And our Chief Development Officer, Tom Link, is joining us for this.
Yeah, thanks so much. What do they say in Congress? I'm going to yield my time to my outstanding colleague, James Reed. He's put a ton of effort. He's really been point on a lot of these efforts here to present these items. So James, if you're there, please take this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, colleagues, members of the board, members of the general public. I have the pleasure of joining you all today to talk about the downtown tax abatement program and discuss the authorization that we'll be seeking, which is to advance legislation to Pittsburgh Public Schools to adopt a downtown tax abatement program. So I think we all know that downtown has seen quite a bit of challenges and struggles in the last couple of years, in particular as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and lingering social and economic changes. Some of those things that we note on this slide that really are impacting our downtown have to do with foot traffic and attendance in office buildings for downtown. So one thing to note about downtown Pittsburgh, it's somewhat unique in terms of downtowns across the nation, where roughly 66% of the buildings within downtown Pittsburgh are dedicated to office space. So because of that, some of the effects of the pandemic, such as businesses needing to downsize, remote work taking off, and workers still preferring remote work, and offices being, somewhat occupied 2 to 3 days a week, really has left the downtown commercial building stock somewhat vulnerable to negative impacts. And so what we have seen, and, just as Director Miller discussed in the last slide with the downtown conversion program, there's really a need to diversify what downtown has to offer. Some of the most economically resilient downtowns in the nation are resilient, in fact, because they are more vibrant in terms of having a residential component, having multiple uses. And we think that, really encouraging and providing stimulus to encourage development to diversify these building stocks will really help push downtown into an area where, from challenges, we're creating new opportunity and really a new opportunity to develop new strengths and show that downtown Pittsburgh is still that core vital part of the Pittsburgh region. Next slide. Thank you. And so with the proposed tax abatement program, we're looking to mirror the tax abatement program that the city of Pittsburgh already implements. This would be the enhanced tax abatement program. And we are asking that Pittsburgh Public Schools and Allegheny County adopt this similar program. It would be temporary in nature, and projects that could potentially benefit would be eligible if they are located within the boundaries of the map that you see. There are 2 TIF districts that are currently active in downtown, and those would be properties that are within those TIF districts would be ineligible for this. So there would be a 3-year application window to really encourage a greater impact. And if this program is adopted, the annual amount of tax relief that a potential taxpayer could receive would be $250,000 per each taxing body. Now, if once the abatement is approved, it would last for a 10-year period. And I'm going to move into the next slide to talk a little bit more about specific parameters and what we're trying to incentivize. With this program, we would be looking to incentivize the development of residential, primarily residential space and some commercial and industrial space, provided that those spaces are creating net new full-time equivalent positions by at least 50. On the residential side, in order to qualify for the abatement, a development would need to have 10% of its total residential units affordable to and occupied by households earning at or below 50% AMI, a commercial residential development with at least 60% of total residential units that would be affordable and occupied by households earning at or below 80% of AMI, or a multi-unit for sale owner-occupied residential development with at least 10% of the units affordable and occupied by households at 80% of AMI. And if any of these above outcomes are achieved, then the developer would then be eligible to receive that tax abatement, which would be up to $250,000 per taxing body and would last for 10 years. The last couple of things that I want to note on this slide is that, again, we're really encouraged by activity that we've seen downtown to bring residential into the space and to diversify what downtown can be and make it more vibrant. And I think that, the hope is that with this sort of program, we really see an incentive to add to downtown, just bring more folks and really encourage everyone downtown to rethink what is possible. With that, I will pause and see if there are any questions.
Thank you, James. Any questions, comments from board members?
This is
A lot
actually,
here. It's pretty dense. Go ahead, Councilman. Sorry.
excuse me, I was simply going to say this has actually been needed for some time now. So I just wanted to thank all the URA staff involved with this, as well as the Gainey administration for pushing on this.
James, you may have said it earlier, and I apologize if I missed it, but just to clarify for the public in terms of how the abatement works, and the way that it's applied, right? Like, can you speak a little bit more to that and in explaining the incremental, that it's applied against the increment, and kind of walk folks through that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to use a simple example here and not get too bogged down into the calculations. But let's say that you have a property that's currently assessed at $1 million, and a developer undertakes one of these eligible type of developments, and when the building is complete, when construction is complete and it's reassessed, it's now worth $5 million. The value of improvements would be $4 million. So that difference between the $1 million original assessed value and the new assessed value of $5 million. And that $4 million of improved value, that's where the abatement would be applied. So just using some simple math here, in this scenario, the taxes that would be due to the city of Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, and Pittsburgh Public Schools would be roughly $23,000 at that $1 million assessment. At the $5 million assessment, it would be roughly $1,500,000. And then the amount of the abatement, the maximum amount that you could get in terms of tax relief under the scenario would be roughly $92,000.
Thanks, James. Yeah, I mean, it's great to see the work that we've done. As the councilman said, this is something that's been needed. I think it'll, coupled with the downtown conversion, program that Director Miller just presented. And, our next item, which is also a downtown one, properties that we have previously owned as the public and are putting online. These, mark important strides and moves and initiatives in order to create that more vibrant downtown that's so important, not just for the health of the city, but the economic health of the region. So, having, this as you eloquently described, James, applying against any incremental increase and not into the tax revenue that we're receiving as public bodies now, is a good way to bring folks on, because the alternative of not attracting investment, is into these buildings is not one that I personally, want us to have to deal with. So thank you again for your work on this. And there are no other questions or comments from board members. We'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, James. Our next item on the agenda is 200 Ross Street. Joining us for this, I guess it's actually two items. Joining us for this will be Brandon Wilson. Hey, Brandon.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Brandon Wilson, and I am a project manager in the URA's Development Services Department. I am happy to announce that the URA is publicly issuing an RFP for the development of the historic offices at 200 Ross Street. The URA will be stewarding the process of requesting proposals for this building that is currently owned by the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh, the City of Pittsburgh, and the URA. The URA will be purchasing the Housing Authority's share and entering into a cooperation agreement with the city as part of the process of soliciting redevelopment proposals for and ultimately conveying the building to a qualified developer. Next slide, please. The building was constructed as the headquarters of the Jones and Laughlin Steel in 1908 and was converted to public use from 1948 to 1952. It has most recently served as offices for the City of Pittsburgh, the Urban Redevelopment Authority of the City of Pittsburgh, and the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh. The building is designated as a historic structure by the City of Pittsburgh. Our goal is to select a redeveloper who has experience converting office buildings in downtown neighborhoods throughout the country and who has experience working with historic properties. The URA would like to emphasize a strong preference for proposals for affordable housing, although it should be noted that this is a preference and not a mandate. Respondents should specify their historic preservation method in the proposal. Our plan is to release the RFP on August 11th, 2023 via IonWave and to receive responses on or before September 29th, 2023. RFP release and its IonWave link will be announced on URA.org as well as on our social media channels. Members of the review committee will include URA staff members, City Council staff, City Planning staff, City of Pittsburgh Mayor's Office staff, and downtown community groups. I'm available to answer any questions about the RFP. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Questions or comments from board members on this one? I know it's been a while in the making for us to get to this point. So those that are longer tenured on the board, I'll cede my time to you as Chief one did to James earlier.
Brandon, could you remind me in the public, after the responses are collected, what is then the process to determine what's the best and highest use of the building?
The process will be meeting with a review committee, again, comprised of staff from City Council, City Planning, the Mayor's Office, and downtown community groups, where a holistic approach will be taking to evaluating the proposals. From there, finalists will be selected, and there will be interviews for those developers, and we will determine which one is achieving the highest and best use.
Thank you.
I'll just note for the group that, the timing of this is important. because our goal is to have the RFP out on the street, reviewed, back to the board with a recommendation so that our selected responder will have time to compile a low-income housing tax credit application to the state, which those are due in December. It's a quick timeline, but it's a goal of ours.
Any other questions or comments from board members?
Motion to approve.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Moving on in our agenda, our next item is in Uptown, 5th and Dinwiddie East. And joining us for this will be our Chief Development Officer, again, barring him ceding his time to anyone, Tom Link.
Yeah, I'm not going to yield this time, although I could yield to Brandon. Brandon would be able to do this expertly, but I will take this item. Yeah, so thanks to Mr. Chair, the members of the board. You know, there's actions here related to 5th and Dinwiddie East, 112 Dinwiddie Street. Just to kind of step back for 1 second, this is the building, the former Department of Public Works, City of Pittsburgh building, you know, right at the corner of 5th Avenue and Dinwiddie Street in Uptown. If you're driving along 5th Avenue, it's basically directly across from the former 5th Avenue High School. And it is a project that we've been, you know, the board may recall, and as the staff here has been working on for quite some time. So we're excited to present these items. The actions here we're asking for are essentially authorization of financing and authorization of final drawings and final evidence of financing to execute the deed in the sale of Block E, Lot 85, which of course is the building I just described at 5th and Dinwiddie in Uptown, for $1.08 million, and then authorization to hold a note on that sale to the developer. You can go to the next slide. I think there's more detail on the next slide. Thank you. So this is about a $16.6 million project to develop. 20,000 is actually short. Then that's my fault. I edited the slide. It's actually closer to 28,000 square feet of office space and retail space and a adaptive reuse, as well as new construction of the former building that I described. The developer, Bridging the Gap Development, Derek Tillman, is the developer undertaking this project, and Derek's here and can answer some more questions as needed and may offer additional comment as I complete the presentation here. Just to kind of give background, with February 2019, the URA authorized and released a request for proposal for this site that led to a September 2021 URA Board acceptance of a proposal from Bridging the Gap Development, Derek Tillman, contemplating this development. Over the last few years, working closely with a variety of folks, the financing for this project is fully secured. And it's in a position now, subject to the action here today, to move forward to a closing, to transact the building and close on all the financing. Just to, some on those financing tools and sources, the reinvestment fund is a substantial investor in this project, providing both debt as well as federal new markets tax credit equity. Our partner affiliate agency, Pittsburgh Urban Initiatives, has a federal new markets tax credit allocation also prepared to invest in this project. Neighborhood Allies, other philanthropy, the state with some tools is also part of this project. So there's quite a few financing sources, and it's in a position now to move forward to closing. I will, Derek's here. Derek, you want to add anything to this presentation here? But I know this is a project that's a long time coming. It's going to be a substantial investment here in Uptown and a site that's been awaiting development for several years, and I invite Derek to add anything or add comment to my presentation. But I will pause there as we and certainly the board to ask questions. So thank you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks, Derek.
No problem. Tom, you did a great job of summarizing the project. It has taken quite some time, so I did want to make a few comments in recognition of that. Really, today is just a great day. I'm very thankful, but also excited. It really took a lot to get to this point. years of work, a relentless commitment to bring this project to fruition through COVID, construction price increases, administration changes, and many, many other challenges. But today, we take a moment just to pause and celebrate really this historic moment as we prepare to bring this project to fruition. Tom outlined the project. It's an adaptive reuse of an existing building. It's 20,000 square feet, adding a 20,000 square foot addition. So 40,000 in total. Will include office space, co-working space, most likely a coffee shop, and a training center focused on clean energy jobs. So really preparing folks for good paying jobs and opportunities in the clean energy economy. This was certainly a team effort. So I do want to just take a moment to thank a few people because it took a team to get here. First, I just want to thank God. You know, it really, I had to pray a lot to continue through some difficult times. My wife, who just was there, stood beside me, encouraged me during some very difficult and discouraging moments. But she continued to encourage me. Becky Davidson Wagner, this could not have happened without her. Uptown Partners, this actually went through the previous executive directors where it started, Gene McNutt, and the current executive director, Dr. Brittany McDonald. Tom Link could not have happened without you. Diamante Walker, Sushila Nimani Stranger, and Brandon Wilson, our current project manager on this project. We've had several, but Brandon is our current project manager. Councilman Lavelle, truly a champion of the project. Neighborhood allies, Matt Media and Presley Gillespie. Cal, I'm just gonna say Cal C, because I don't want to butcher your name, but Cal C and the entire URA board. I just want to thank you all. And then a few members of my team I just want to shout out who were truly instrumental in helping us get here. GBBN Architects, Michael Baker International, Berman and Dichter, and the Oros Group. If I forgot anyone, I promise when we have our groundbreaking ceremony to give the proper recognition. But again, thank you all. And we look forward to working with you to now get the project built. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. I know Councilman Lavelle's been at this one for a while, so I'll give him first crack at this. But yeah,
well,
go ahead, Councilman.
I'll simply say, since Derek did all the appropriate thank yous, I'll simply congratulate him on getting to this point. It's going to be a phenomenal project.
Great, Derek. Thank you for your fortitude to kind of get to this point, because it has been one that's taken a while, and you've seen it through all the ups and downs. So also thank you for acknowledging the work of all the staff that have stayed with it. Becky, Tom, Brandon, Sushila, as you noted, and all the others that are working behind the scenes and will continue to work to get you to closing. So exciting to be to this point today, and happy to see us here. There are no other questions or comments from board members. We'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And the motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you. Excited to see the project get underway here.
Thank you so much. Just real quick, other shout out. Michael Bitsuri is a loan officer in our team, has done an amazing job. So I just want to thank you, lots of folks, URA staff, Michael Bitsuri and ML as well has been super important to this project. So I just want to get those names out there for the public benefit and the board's benefit. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yep. Moving on, the last item for our disclosures agenda is the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund. And James Reed's coming back for this one. So, James.
Thank you, Chairman. Hello again. My name is James Reed, and I'm the Senior Manager of Development Finance in the URA's Development Services Unit. Today, I'm coming to you to request authorization to allocate up to $465,000 from the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund, which will be expended through a temporary home repair program that's modeled after the URA's Home Assistance Program. Before we move on to the next slide, I just want to, kind of acknowledge the history of these funds. The Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund is seeded from proceeds of the Lower Hill LRTA. And so a couple of years ago, that first capitalization into the fund occurred, and it's been quite a interesting time to get the infrastructure needed to expend those funds on the variety of uses that are eligible. This fund is really seeded with the purpose of enacting, certain elements of the CSIP in the Lower Hill. And with that, I'm very excited that, we're at a point right now where we can release or get to the point where we can accept applications and get funds out on the street for home repairs. So we can go to the next slide. Just in terms of some details that we really want the public to know and understand, there will be an application. It will be released on the URA's website. It will go live in mid-August. So we're talking about within the next week. And when it is available, we will use our communication channels as well as those of the Hill District stakeholders that we work with. We'll use those communication channels as well to advertise that the application is live. We're going to try to expend these funds in rounds. And so the first round, as I said, will be opening in mid-August, and it will end at the end of September. In terms of priority consideration will be given to those applicants whose income is at or below 80% of area median income, those whose homes require critical repairs to remain habitable, those households with children under the ages of 5 under the age of 5, and households with seniors, and households with disabled individuals. With that, I'll pause to see if there are any questions or comments.
Thank you, James. I know some of the public comment touched on it a little bit. Whether you or Councilman, because I know you also sit on the advisory board for the fund, can just for the public's benefit kind of speak to the recommendation from the advisory board here, right, and what's before us, and that this is something that was vetted with that group and how we got here.
Sure, I can speak to it a little bit. One, because it was noted in some of the public comment that it's been close to 2 years and these dollars have not been expended. And James accurately described it when he mentioned that there was no infrastructure in place to expend these dollars when we received them. There was no allocation plan. There was no application, and there was no staff, to be quite frank, to sort of staff these efforts. And so that all of that has had to be created and be put in place. Most recently, and thankfully to the URA staff, URA was willing to say, we also hear the concerns, and the administration, the mayor also said this, that we hear the concerns of the dollars not being expended. One of the allocations is economic development, and under economic development initiatives falls home repair. And URA staff was willing to come to the table to say, although we can't staff this entire effort because much of what the community wants to expend the funds on falls outside the purview of the URA does stand up home repair programs. And so we could assist you all in getting these dollars out, to which we had a tremendous conversation. Everyone around the table thankfully agreed that yes, this would be a wonderful way to begin expending the dollars. And then the committee had another meeting to discuss how much should they put into to seed this effort. And under the allocation plan, the committee anticipates planning expending, approximately $1.5 to $2 million in the first year. And under that, one of the line items was economic development initiatives, which was $465,000. And when meeting, the committee decided that it was important enough and home repairs were critical enough that they want to expend all of those monies back into where we are today.
Thank you, Councilman. Your audio cut out a little bit, but I think we got most of it. So appreciate that overview. That's okay. Any other questions or comments from board members? I would just like to thank the staff. I think the councilman gave a good overview, but appreciate staff, leadership you exhibited stepping up here to offer to do this. And make the presentation to the advisory board so they can move this forward. I would agree with what the councilman said in the conversations that at least I've had the opportunity to be a part of with Hill residents or Hill groups. Providing assistance for homeowners has been a consistent refrain and one that they've wanted to, move with an understandable urgency. So the fact that we're able to, provide this support in order to do that while that infrastructure gets built out for, the other potential uses is, I think, a testament to, our team, our staff commitment and care that you bring to the work. So thank you all so much for bringing this forward to us today. So if there's no other questions or comments on this item, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? And the motion carries. Thank you, James. Last is our disclosure agenda. If there are any questions or comments from board members on any of the items with the disclosure agenda. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve in its entirety.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries. Any other comments for the good of the order? Or entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Who is second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you joining us today. And we will see you all next month.